obviously covering up a crime doesn't mean you did it. So she goes back, and Mr. Zollner was not in the car with Lynlee when she was sending out these text messages. He doesn't know what her state of mind was. But I don't think it's far-fetched that under this, let me back up a little bit, Ashley has to wash Lynlee off herself. And Ashley testified she was eerily calm. That's describing somebody who's in shock. So anyway, Lynlee's going back to the spot. I would argue it's not unreasonable that she's in a strange place. She's in a different place. And when she gets back, and when it dawns on her that there's something going on with Ben, and she finds Ben, she could have picked up the shells then. She could have bent down and said, well, you know, I got a second chance to pick up all the shells, but she doesn't. And the evidence, ladies and gentlemen, is overwhelming how hysterical she was. Overwhelming. There was like 25 people there. She was in a car with somebody. There was medical people there that checked her out. She had high blood pressure. The evidence is overwhelming she was not faking this. And again, I don't think you can conclude she was faking it given the overwhelming evidence that was there. How do you fake high blood pressure? How do you fake medical equipment being attached to you? So there's a very lengthy investigation that takes place by a methodical, diligent police detective investigator named Devin Faust. Interviews many people. And at the end of that interview, or at the end of that process, at the end of 2017, all he can come up with is, Lynlee, we know you're involved. And she is involved. We know you're involved. That's it, because there's no other evidence that she actually participated in this. When you do something, you create evidence. Remember the concrete and the footprints? When you commit a murder, you create evidence that you did that. Now, there's overwhelming evidence that she's involved in this, that her and Michael were going there to do something disagreeable, but there's nothing after that. So Devin doesn't know, and Devin is at a standstill. And Lynlee then says, she squeaks out at the very end of this interrogation, in a very meek voice, how are you involved, Lynlee? I wanted a divorce. That's an admission. Okay, she has changed her story and incriminated herself by saying that. She broke. Now, Devin didn't pick up on it, but she broke, and she said, I wanted a divorce. How are you involved? I wanted a divorce. He could have followed up, and he could have said, okay, that's different now. Your story has changed. What do you mean you wanted a divorce? But he didn't, because he was so convinced in his mind that it didn't register with him that could have been a reason why she was going there. And to his, in all fairness, he wouldn't have known that because she had never told him what the story was. But again, covering something up doesn't mean you're guilty. So Devin, I'm sorry. Devin leaves the unit. He leaves the DDCC. He has 4 investigators in 10 counties or something. And in comes Nathaniel Schaefer, the intern, fresh off his internship. And Nathaniel Schaefer doesn't do anything on the case. He doesn't go talk to any witnesses. He's not really around during the first half or the first part of this investigation. So he's not really well versed in what's happening. But what he does is he goes looking for people that have something to gain by saying Lynlee did this. So he goes to the ex-boyfriend's house, Lynlee's ex-boyfriend, Brandon. And he goes there because Brandon is paying her child support. Now, everybody knows that if she goes to jail, he may not have to pay as much child support. So that's what he's thinking. That's why child support's relevant. He's gonna go there, he's gonna say, hey, Brandon, we think Lynlee did this. By the way, if she goes to prison, you may not have to pay child support anymore. So why don't you just give me a name? But he's not home. Brandon's not home. But his parents are home. And Schaefer drops a little note to them, Lynlee is my suspect, because he wants the parents to tell Brandon, hey, a cop came by today and they think Lynlee is the chief suspect. So now Brandon knows in the future, if he needs to, that if he says Lynlee did this, he's going to be believed. So Brandon puts that in his back pocket. That September, a month goes by, and Brandon Blackwell has broken into Lynlee's house. She has had to flee for her life from this man. He has kicked open her door. She is so terrified of Brandon Blackwell that they have to she puts her kids' toys in front of the door in case he breaks in. You've seen the indictment. Brandon Blackwell, not like Trooper Schaefer said, a violation of an order of protection. He has 2 counts of first-degree stalking. He texted Lynlee at 3 in the morning and said, I'm going to come inside your house. Another count of felony stalking and 4 counts of violation of an order of protection. And then he's in prison, or he is in jail. Do you think maybe Brandon Blackwell is a little bit desperate? Do you think he doesn't really like Lynlee Renick very much? Do you think maybe he's trying to get even with her? And do you think maybe all these people have maybe discussed what's going on in the investigation and they know what the police know and they know what evidence the police has? And all those people, like Ashley Shaw, she talks about poisoning. They ask her about the poisoning. They all have a meeting at GERB and she says, the cops asked about the poisoning. Don't you think that all that is swirling around in Brandon Blackwell's mind? He knows what the police are going to believe. He knows what evidence to say because he knows what evidence they have. And so Schaefer, fresh off his internship, goes to the Boone County Jail and takes a statement from Brandon Blackwell and does nothing to look into Brandon Blackwell's past at all. He says, well, that makes sense to me. The only way he could know this, it makes sense to me. And Schaefer, though, needs to verify this. So he verifies it by just scooping up Ashley Shaw, putting her in a room and saying, if you are implicated. If you do not change your story and join Team Missouri, you are going to be arrested for first-degree murder. This is what he says to her. And I ask you, if their case is so good, why do they have to resort to this? Why? If their case is so strong and it's so good, they've got all this stuff, why would they have to resort to that? Now, Schaefer knows that Ashley Shaw is probably, he knows his information is bad. So he has to inspire fear in Ashley Shaw in a particular way. Because if he says, Ashley Shaw, we are going to prosecute you based on the evidence, she's going to laugh in his face because she's innocent and she knows that. And she knows that if she's prosecuted based on the evidence, she's going to get off. So what Schaefer does in a sneaky way is he says, we are going to arrest you for murder, which means that even if you're innocent, you're still going to have to go through the ordeal of being arrested, being in a jail, having the community know that you've been charged with murder and all the horrors that entails. And believe me, they are horrible. And so Ashley Shaw, alone, by herself, in a room, without an attorney, is told that. And really think when you're deliberating in a few minutes, what that must be like. What would that be like if you were on your way to work and then in 20 minutes you find yourself hearing that? What do you do in that situation? What does a person, Ashley Shaw did what any of us would do in that situation, and she tells them what they want to know. And that's the point. You know, and there's no police reports written about any of this stuff. I mean, Schaefer goes to the prosecutor, he talks to all these people, and Brandon's father, there's no police reports on that because in Schaefer's mind, if you don't collect it, it doesn't exist. So after Ashley Shaw flips, and she knows the story too, they all have the same facts, so it's no problem for her to be consistent because she just spits out the same facts that Brandon did because they're all talking. They all know the real facts. All they have to do is switch names. They all know Michael Humphrey did this, and they all know that if they just give the same story, which applies equally to Lynlee and Michael, and just switch names, that those facts will just as equally apply to Lynlee as they do Michael, and she's out of jail. And as she's walking out of jail, Brandon, the stalker, is also walking out of jail. Now, Michael is picked up based on this, and Michael knows from when the police came to him and offered him a deal to inform on Lynlee. He knows the police think Lynlee did this from the last interview he was on, because they said, we're trying to hammer Lynlee, give us something. He's like, oh, I don't know anything. He does that because he wasn't an accomplice, and he knew that he would have to make up a story to be an accomplice, and Michael Humphrey is not really a story maker-upper type person, so he doesn't do that and just kind of like lays low. But it's in the back of his mind that the police will believe him if he says Lynlee did it. So Michael tells a separate story. Lynlee did this, but we were going in there to get a divorce, and she just went crazy, and she did it. That story is not consistent with Ashley Shaw's story. The police don't pick up on it though, because all they see is the Lynlee part is consistent. They don't pick up on any of the details. But they figure they're all consistent. They scoop Lynlee up. They do the same thing to Rachel Hunt 3 months later under the same circumstances, although we don't have a recording of them threatening Rachel Hunt, because in their minds, the mistake was not threatening Ashley Shaw. The mistake was getting it on tape, right? That's why there's no tape of them threatening Rachel Hunt. Why would Rachel Hunt need a proffer agreement to protect her from a crime unless they told her she was going to be arrested for a crime? I have to talk fast. I'm sorry, everybody. I promised you 5 reasons why I think it's impossible Lynlee Renick could have done this. Number 1, all of the facts contradicting the state's theory. Lynlee is peaceful, never a single act of violence. No one thought she had done this. She had no clear motive to kill Ben Renick, and even for the sake of argument, she had a motive to kill Ben Renick. Ashley and Rachel had no motive. And most of her motives were to keep Ben alive, because by Ben dying, she lost $1.5 million by Ben dying and had to go move in with her dad. So nobody's going to say, yeah, she scored. Every single witness says that she was hysterical. She ran out of the facility after the gunshots screaming. There was only one gunshot that day, a muffled gunshot heard by Mike Scarlett, and minutes later, he heard screaming. Now, yes, he said it was at 6 o'clock, but there was a gunshot and there was screaming. So that only could have happened at 4 o'clock. Don't you think that it's reasonable that Mike Scarlett a week later just made a mistake and said it was at 6? Okay, reason number 2. The details of Ashley Shaw, if you take away Ashley Shaw saying Lynlee did this, and you just look at the details that she said, this is what she testified to happening. That nonviolent people entered into a plan, that the nonviolent people entered into a plan as a favor for no compensation, that these nonviolent people discussed this plan out in the open in front of condominiums and in a business. They were not concerned about being seen together. They stopped at a gas station.
All right, we're going to step aside, take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get you right back into that Missouri courtroom. Keep it right here on Court TV Live. Hello and welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala. We're continuing with our coverage of Missouri versus Lynlee Renick. Again, she is the woman who's charged with killing her husband, Ben Renick, a world-famous snake breeder. Right now, we're listening to closing arguments by the defense. Tim Hessman is delivering it. So let's get back into that courtroom as he wraps it up.
That a person ran from the facility so loud that it was heard from somebody a half mile away. And none of these, not Ashley Shaw, Rachel Hunt, or any of these people ever gave any indication after this happened that they had been involved in a murder. Did you ever see any witness come in here and, Ashley's mom and say, yeah, she was really nervous, she was really scared about her having been involved in something? Ashley Shaw lived a carefree life. She got her insurance license, she got a new job. The reason why she was able to do all those things, get married, plan a honeymoon, is because she was never involved in a murder. Now, she covered up a murder, but that's a misdemeanor. That's lying to the police. So that's why she was able to breeze through all these interviews where she said Lynlee was innocent, was because she wasn't really doing anything wrong. It's not a serious crime anyway to cover up a murder. However, if she was really involved in this, if she was really if she really killed Ben, don't you think she would be at least a little bit nervous? Don't you think it'd be hard for her to work and keep down a job? And don't you think when the police called her back in for questioning, she'd be nervous and scared? Don't you think it'd be hard for her to walk down the aisle of her wedding knowing that at any moment she could be arrested for this? But there's none of that. There's no evidence that any of these people were scared after this murder. Finally, the sheer number of far-fetched things that have to happen for Ashley Shaw's story to be true. That's what Kevin Zollner is saying happened. Ashley Shaw is telling the truth. That think of a jackpot at the casino, right? You have like a thing and you have cherries. It's like getting 50 of those in a row. So many far-fetched things here would have to happen for Ashley Shaw's story to be true. 3 people would have to agree to murder a man for no reason. That's number one. Ashley Shaw would have to, who's not a criminal, would have to agree to kill Ben not once, but twice. Isn't that far-fetched? For no compensation? Throw her life completely away for nothing? Does that sound reasonable to you? Does that sound like a likely scenario? Doesn't that sound more like doing a favor for somebody? Wouldn't you be more likely to do a favor, like help your friend get divorced and confront her husband? Doesn't that sound more like what she's describing? The extent to which none of this is corroborated, okay, real quick, poisoning, okay? You poison somebody and you get pills and you put them in a blender and you give them to somebody. Think of all the evidence that creates. The blender, the residue, the person who got the pills, the person who handed the pills, the medicine report, the medical records, the person who gets sick. Think of all the evidence that act creates. Have you seen any of that? No, none. Think of all of the evidence that planning a murder creates. Did Lynlee bring anything to the spa that day? Did she buy anything? Did she ask any questions like, am I going to get this money or not? No, none of this is corroborated. Ladies and gentlemen, think about what the state is asking you to do to Lynlee Renick. She has made bad decisions, but really think about what they're asking you to do to her. Based on what? How many times did the state's witnesses say, I don't know, I can't remember, I'm not sure, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer? How many times did you hear that over the course of the last couple of days? Have they earned your vote in your minds? Have they earned a guilty verdict based on what they're asking you to do? Have they really? Based on all of those answers? Kevin Zollner talks about justice, and I'll be honest, justice is in the news a lot these days. I'm not sure I know what justice is, but I think I know what fairness is, and I think you do too. And I think you know that what these people did was not fair. And people that really want to know what the truth is, they don't do what these police officers did. And you are the only ones that have the power, not me, not anybody else. You are the only ones that have the power to negate what these officers did. There's nobody else in our country, not the President of the United States, cannot undo what these officers did. You are the only ones that can do that. Lynlee Renick did not know Ben was going to die that night. She is innocent of murder. She did not know he was going to die that night. She did not kill him. She did not know. She was a very scared, overwhelmed woman that did not know her husband was going to die. And the evidence and the lack of evidence completely proved that beyond a reasonable doubt. But even if you're not sure, the law is you have to find her not guilty if you're not sure. That is the law. Thank you.
Stage reply. I'm always grateful at this moment that I have to convince 12 jurors who use their common sense and wisdom, not a defense attorney. Because the defense attorney is involved in the confusion illusion. Remember I told you about that? Mr. Hessman just stood up here and said there was only one gunshot out there that day. Well, I can show you 8 holes in Ben's body. And if he doesn't believe my photos because he's so fearful of these evil cops, he should ask his client. Because his client sat there and testified about multiple gunshot wounds. The evidence is what the evidence is, not what Tim Hessman, the defense attorney, wishes it was. Confusion illusion? Ashley wasn't nervous. Nobody ever said Ashley was nervous. Well, there is a person that said Ashley was nervous. Do you remember? His very own client said Ashley was nervous. If you get out State's Exhibit 85, which is the murder timeline. What's going on that morning? When she's getting kind of agitated because Michael isn't there because of his car, he's telling him, Ashley's so nervous, Rachel too. What do they got to be nervous about? Well, maybe they're a little nervous for their friend going out on a divorce, to ask for a divorce. Maybe that makes them a little nervous or something, okay, if that's what really is happening. But if that's what really is happening, why do these two women, as Mr. Hessman concedes, Rachel really didn't do anything? Why do these two women need an alibi? Why do they go to the convenience store if all that's going on is a divorce request? Why does Ashley send a message while they're gone, placating and setting up the alibi about the kids being picked up by Ben? Because there's a conspiracy going on. And Mr. Hessman keeps acting about this proffer. Why does Rachel need a proffer agreement? Ladies and gentlemen, the cops come to you, I'm going to let you in a little secret. Sorry guys, but if the cops ever come to you, don't ever talk, okay? You know, and that's what Rachel knew is, first of all, she did talk twice. She lied twice. And when they came at her harder, she got an attorney. The same thing Ashley did. And what a proffer agreement is simply this. You tell us the story, and if it checks out, we may or may not give you a deal. And that's done with her attorney and the prosecutor. But the important thing is that Mr. Hessman said far-fetched, and he wasn't saying my evidence was far-fetched. He was saying it's not far-fetched to make up evidence. He's making up evidence. It's not far-fetched to believe that these two gentlemen had a quarrel in there and one of them said something that pissed the other one off. There's no evidence of that. What's far-fetched is this defense in this case. We've heard a lot about Brandon Blackwell. Brandon doesn't sound like a nice man. And you know what I think hearing about Brandon Blackwell all day establishes in my mind is that with the exception of Ben Renick, Lynlee's got terrible taste in men. Okay? For some reason, she's got terrible choice in men. And when people's lives, as Mr. Hessman described to you, unravel, things are going wrong, they unravel, stress comes in, what do people whose lives are unraveling in front of them? What do? Sometimes they take chances. They take risk. They make bad mistakes. And Lynlee Renick did that. Now, we keep hearing about shooting somebody in the back. It takes precision. Well, as Mr. Hessman pointed out to you by asking the witnesses, some of these were close contact, right up on top of the body. But I would submit to you, any of us, if that's Ben Renick, and I'm following him down that narrow hallway, any of us could shoot him in the back from this distance. But it appears, based on Mr. Hessman's questioning of the witness, they were closer. Any of us could stand over him, and if it's a surprise attack, sneak attack that she did on her husband, he doesn't know it's coming, so he's just walking straight, he's not moving, dodging. He goes down, any of us could stand over him and finish him off, like she or her ex-boyfriend did. Mr. Humphrey is involved in drugs. Let's blame Mr. Humphrey. He's a bad drug guy. I guess he had drugs in his system and wigged out that day. Well, the only problem with that is if Mr. Hessman would listen to the evidence, his own client said, Michael looked normal that day. He was fine. Okay? But more importantly than him looking fine, let's remember who invited Michael to this party. Lynlee Renick. After 7 years of no contact, she needed, according to her, to get divorced. She needed to go along with her for support, make sure things didn't go bad. And out of all the people in her life, she chose him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is out of character for Miss Renick. It's not out of character for her to be dishonest, to be deceitful, to lie, to cheat. She admitted to being all of those things. And she admitted to some of the most horrific lies possible. And in our criminal justice, that horrific lie is probably falsely accusing somebody of rape, or, God forbid, falsely accusing a completely innocent man of the murder of his own brother when she knows otherwise. On top of killing her husband, I'd submit to you that's another crime.
We approach, Your Honor.
All right, so quick sidebar there. It looks like they're going to be wrapping things up. This jury should get the case in just a little while. As you heard there, the prosecutor talking about all the reasons why he believes that Lynlee Renick is guilty. But at the end of the day, once she took the stand, and whether she was believable or not, it really becomes all about Lynlee Renick. Just from checking social media, a lot of people thought she didn't handle herself very well. A lot of her stories didn't make sense. So if you take that into account, ultimately, I'm not sure which way the arrow's pointing in this case. I don't want to speculate, but at the end of the day, I don't think it looks very good for Lynlee Renick once this jury gets the case.
On the jury, I keep hearing how Lynlee was so haywire that night. She was so out of it. She was catatonic. Her brain was vaporized. For 2.5, 3 years. At some point she came to well enough to tell him it wasn't a snake on the night it happened. But on the weeks, months, and years that continued down, she was less catatonic, less hysterical. She was competent enough, mentally acute enough to see the internet chatter, to continue the cover-up of Michael Humphrey's murder by telling the police the cover story about the massage and about the car stereo. She was acute enough. She was cool enough. She was cruel in her heart enough to not tell any of her friends that Michael Humphrey did this crime. She was cool enough, she was cruel enough to blame this crime on the dead man's brother. And she did all that, why? Because she wanted to get away with it. Find her guilty and send her to prison like she deserves.
I'm gonna give the complete set of the instructions to the bailiff. I've told you repeatedly, till you're sick of it, not to talk about this case. Well, now it's time for you to do so. You can retire to deliberations with the exception of numbers 55 and 58. You two need to stay in here. The rest of you go with the bailiff.